Clarence, would you mind giving an indication?
I would not mind at all, actually. Bow your heads, please. Lord, thank you for getting us all together again. We are most grateful to be here. We know that our responsibility to the town of Turin includes loving you and loving each other. We pray that we continue to see that as our foundation. In God's name, amen.
Amen. Y'all stand with me. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I get a motion to amend the agenda to add one item, which is town auditor re-proposals? Can I get a motion to add that to the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion.
I thought it was right there. There it is.
It is, but we have to officially add it because it wasn't produced to the public.
Okay,
I
yes.
second
I have
that.
a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It is already added at the end. That's a catch up. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. We have in front of you the December 9th workshop, December 16th council meeting, and a special call meeting for January 29th. Those are all the minutes you have in front of you. Can I get a motion to, if you need time to review, you can.
Would you take a minute?
Okay.
Yeah, I just need to ask you one question. You might have an explanation. These are my notes from you. Remember we took this up? We need to revisit that. That's not in the minutes at all, I don't think. This weekend?
That's a compensation.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was approved, but it couldn't.
It wasn't. But
It's not in the minutes.
not in the minutes.
Wait, that's December
16th,
It'll be the 16th.
unless I missed that. Yeah, quickly here.
It says table.
Oh, it wasn't.
I don't remember it being tabled either. I remember it
No,
being voted
it
for.
wasn't tabled.
And it was voted in favor. We'd have to review the item.
Which item?
Under new business
The
for
mayor and
December
council
16th,
compensation.
mayor and council compensation. It was voted and approved, but let's review the minutes to get who approved what, because we all know to recollect that.
I thought Mark said we couldn't do it until another time.
Well, we did it, but we
Right.
can't.
It won't take effect until
Can't implement it until after the next election.
the next election.
Okay.
So let's, any other amendments? Because I'll get to that one in the approval.
Okay. No, that's all I see.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the special call meeting for January 29th and the December 9th council workshop? Can I get a motion just to approve those 2 minutes as written?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. For the December 16th minutes, let's approve with an amendment to correct the vote on the mayor and council compensation under new business to reflect an affirmative, but let the record reflect how the council voted as far as a motion and a second. I don't recollect that, but the record will show.
Yeah,
So can I get a motion with that amendment?
I so move.
Okay, I have a motion.
And I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. All right. On unfinished business, because we moved this meeting, it conflicted with Mark's. So I have no update for judge contract code enforcement, but there's nothing to act on at this point, but we'll keep it on the agenda unless we have something.
Well, I thought, Clarence, you were gonna have the, we talked about, you were gonna have the secondary job description.
Not quite ready, but that's
Okay.
okay.
We'll keep that on the agenda. Town budget, I understand we did have a workshop to that effect, and it was,
We got halfway through. We have another workshop planned for this month.
okay, what's the date for the public?
The 17th.
Is it 17th? Because we got a meeting every Monday. It was, the 17th, you're correct.
9 to 1.
9 to 1.
17th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Right.
for the budget workshop round 2.
Yes.
So everybody knows. Accessory building at Town Hall, it was reminded that we have a petition into the county and approval from the county to have an accessory building built similar to this building as far as looks and aesthetics at the bottom of our ramp. And we are on the docket, and we tried to communicate and figure out where we are in that regard, and we have not, but we're going to keep it on there and keep a little pressure on them to see if we're talking 6 months. It should have started at the middle of last year, if I recall, when it was approved. But we haven't forgotten about it. There's still a strong need, and it's there.
Question mark?
Yes.
I mean, Alan, did the commissioners approve it?
Yes, they did.
Okay, and we're just waiting for the work order and all of that?
The work order is in. We're waiting on.
The county was gonna do the labor, and we were gonna just pay for the materials.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on their list to do items.
It's like the job when they did this building too. It took some time. I didn't realize it would take this long, but I know that they're backed up on projects, obviously, but I don't know where we are on their list, and I'll find that out.
Okay.
There's nothing more we need to do, is what
be.
I'm saying. Shouldn't be, but
Thank you.
you're welcome. Lawn care maintenance. This is an item that was discussed in prior months, also discussed during the town retreat, and we have 2 proposals before us. Do I have a motion to accept either or? One is for, I believe, Rusty and our town equipment. And I have one for Elite Outdoors, who's been doing some of the cutting on a lot of the towns.
Okay. I'll speak to that. I did at the retreat. I believe we have been working with the Elite Outdoors. I've been really happy with their work. I think the misunderstanding or the confusion at our last discussion was that their bid was $800 and the $1,500, but it's clear now it's only the $1,500.
But they did charge us the 800 before.
He charged the 800 before he added all the town.
So
all
now,
the other-
so with this, he's agreeing to do it all for the 1,500.
That was my understanding then, but it's clear now that that's what he intends. And I think the town has looked great under his, and this is not to say anything negative about the other proposal, but I like the fact that he's using his equipment and that he's not using our equipment, and that he has a history of doing it and has been really efficient with it. So when the time is there, I'll move that we accept his bid.
And just to give the issue just some context, there's In years past, we've had Floyd cutting the grass on our mower, and then doing some of the cutting around here. That's years ago. In the past 6 months to 3 years, 4 years, it's kind of changed a little bit here and there, but we had Elite Outdoors that was, at first they were cutting both buildings, and then Rusty started, and then he started cutting some on this side of the road, but not on North Hunter. And so it kind of got out of control as far as from a cost perspective and kind of the role. So I wanted to clean it up and either have, a lot of times when Rusty cuts, he uses some of his own equipment too. He's not always using the town tractor. I know that to be the case, but I won't say that's always the case. Of course, when Elite does it, they're always using their own equipment. We do have equipment that can do it. I don't necessarily vote on this, but I do like the idea of keeping it with, I like the idea of Rusty doing it personally. And I also am not displeased with the work that Elite Outdoors has done. They've done some outstanding work, and what they've done looks great.
No other comments? I move that we accept the Elite Outdoors contract.
Before we,
Sure.
this doesn't say anything, who's cutting the garden area now?
Elite.
Because it's not on here. Town hall, bike park, water tower, oh, okay.
Water
He's
tower.
saying water tower, but is that including the garden?
That's all of that. It doesn't include the garden, it includes that section that's garden, not the gardens themselves. Although I wish they would.
Mayor, can I say something too?
Yes.
Okay, so Elite's been charging the $2,300 or whatever, and somehow or another his bid got knocked down all the way to what Rusty was proposing.
Okay.
So I don't know how that happened, but I just wanted to let you know that too.
Okay.
So we were getting charged the $2,300 until there was some competition.
Yes. Mhm. And you know, with Rusty doing it, if he rides through the town and sees trash or something that needs to be picked up, he said he would do that as well instead of waiting 2 weeks until the other guys come around.
And in all fairness, I think this Elite outfit has been doing that as well, cleaning up the area and what have you. And I don't know how often they do it, but I've noticed that there's a remarkable difference in how it looks now and how it used to look.
Yes.
So I'm
I can't-
impressed
I
with
can't
the work
deny
they're
that.
doing, and I see no reason to change, actually. So at the time it's appropriate, I'll move that we accept the contract from Elite.
And I'll entertain that motion, or a motion for the other, or a second to that motion, or
Yeah, I think
further
I
discussion.
think it has to be a second or no second to the first one, and then we can go to the next one.
Second for Elite, and then we have discussion, I'll discuss.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I think my only concern would be with Rusty, I don't want to overwhelm him with too much to do. I want him to feel like water is really very important for him and not be overwhelmed, especially in the summer with mowing. That was my concern, and also the fact that it's nice if we have another company that's doing it, that maintains their own equipment, and we don't have to worry about keeping up with it or paying for it to be repaired. Those are my 2 thoughts on it.
And I think Rusty, by the nature of the quote, is assuring us by the quote, just like Elite is, that he would be able to get the work done. As far as the equipment, I kind of like using our own equipment. I like the fact that the more autonomous, the less services we go outside of Turin per se, especially ones that we've done kind of historically. I kind of like that idea. Kind of bringing it back into Turin. But that's why it's open for discussion or disagreement at that point. That does require maintenance of our equipment to a level that, you know, the county has provided that maintenance at no charge. Tractor's got to get there, they got to get to the tractor if there is maintenance to some of those items. So that is borne by the town. And I'll say this, if you have a piece of equipment like a mower or like anything else, it needs to operate in order to maintain properly. So the more we use it, the better off we're going to be rather than just sitting there. And that's true with any piece of farm equipment, airplane, car, or anything else.
Isn't that equipment fairly new?
Our equipment?
Yeah.
Yes, parts of it. That tractor's not new. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
It's been maintained a few
maintained.
times. It's been maintained a few times. Blades, whatnot, parts going bad, put a new part on it. Because it's a full-size tractor, it's not like a lawnmower.
And I assume everybody's equipment's, you know, whether it's new or not, it's hopefully maintained at a high standard.
What would we use that equipment for otherwise?
What would the town use it for?
We don't.
We don't. If it's not being used to maintain the town, then it's not being used.
It's stored underneath over there at the water tower. Tell you, I like the idea of I have no disagreement with what Clarence or Susan said. I do like the idea of using our, and I know Rusty doesn't live in the town, but he's been good to the town, and he's, it wasn't until he gave his quote that Elite decided to basically cut their bill by a third. And we've always tried to use the people that have been good to us and who've lived here and whatnot. I think there's a great argument either way.
Well, that really hasn't been our pattern. We didn't use a local contractor to clean and do our buildings, so we certainly aren't moving away from a tradition that we've held.
And that was you know, we should have looked at local businesses first. We should have, but.
Yeah.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor. We can vote on that, and then we can, if that doesn't work out, then we can, there is a motion and a second on the floor.
Exactly.
Any further discussion before we vote?
No.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
To accept
To
the lead
accept
out.
the lead.
Okay. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. All right. All right, lawn care maintenance.
I thought that's what we just did.
I just checked it off, I'm sorry, I said it out loud. New business, flock cameras. The town has talked in our January retreat about a flock camera, which I can't give you that acronym, but I'm sure it stands for something. But in essence, what it does is puts remote solar-powered cameras that capture the license plates of vehicles coming into or out of an area, wherever it's set up. A lot of times they're set up in neighborhoods so they can track cars coming in and coming out and see if they can get expired tags or illegal activity that would show up on a driver's report for that particular vehicle. The town is considering that, so a lot of neighborhoods will put that in. I know that the Oaks at Turin are looking into that. I know there's a couple of businesses, developments in Coweta County that are looking into it and have put them there. law enforcement loves it because it gets a violator. We're not talking about speeders because it doesn't do speeders. It just knows who's coming in and out of your particular area, whichever way the camera's facing. So, but it gives the officer a direct report of a potential problem, where he is, which direction he's going, and where they can go pick the person up or get further information or whatever. It's been recommended that for like a neighborhood, it would be to kind of keep an idea of unwanted people in your neighborhood that maybe shouldn't be there or maybe up to no good. In Turin, what it would do if you put them on opposite ends of 16 is it would also create a little bit of exposure to our area of 16 and maybe get more police traffic, more officers standing by patrolling in our particular areas to maybe have a secondary effect of affecting some speed limit reductions, hopefully, not just on 16, but our perimeter roads. So if you have more to add, you're the expert.
This is something that I brought up to the Oaks as well. I was hoping that, I've been to a lot of these flock camera meetings, and I know that personally because I use them at work, there's been a significant crime reduction in areas that these cameras have gone up. In the past, we've talked about methods of getting a police officer or a deputy sheriff to more or less hang out in Turin to deter anybody that might want to commit crimes, as well as for that exposure. There's always a police officer there. People tend to hit the brakes or pay attention more when they know there's a police officer there. I do it. And I drive a police car. I hit the brakes. So, and it's just a way, I know a lot of people have issues with or don't want any of their personal lives to be impeded against, but it's not. It only captures a picture of the tag, and if it's listed in the state database as wanted or stolen, then and at one point in time, we were able to get Department of Revenue records to where it would say the tag's expired or that there's no insurance on the car. That's the only thing it's reporting. It's not even reporting who's driving the car. Only that an agency that says, okay, if Billy is wanted and this is his car, if you see that car, now it gives you the right to stop it and see if Billy's driving it. But that's it. It doesn't tell you who Billy is or his driver's status, any of that. So it's really not as intrusive as people would believe it is. The flock camera is a good system. It's relatively cost effective. And I believe if we were to put one on one end of 16 and one on the other, that more police officers may hang out right in the middle, which would be right in the center of town. So it's just an all-around good idea versus speed bumps, radar signs that would cost significantly more, and we would be responsible for the upkeep. Flock, once they put in their cameras, they do the maintenance. They do the upkeep. Tags are only held for 30 days, and then they drop off. So it's not even, you can't even check them 6 months from now. It's 30 days, and that's it. So it's a good idea. That's kind of all I got.
Yeah.
What's the cost?
The cost is it's $2,000 a year per camera, and that's including the power source and the camera and all the upkeep. They come out and install them, and that's it.
And so who reads the camera when things
It goes
the police, the sheriffs?
With the way it's set up on a cloud. If that tag alerts the camera, Coweta County's 911 will immediately get the alert. But more to the point is every officer gets to his county email, it sends an alert to his email. Just like when your email alerts on your phone, within 30 seconds to 1 minute, you get that alert, a picture of the car, the tag, and it says, it's wanted or it's stolen, and it comes across your email.
So I have a question as well. So Coweta County is doing this too?
Coweta County's doing it as well. They already have, I want to say, I know they had purchased 20 cameras recently. How many they have up and running right now, I think I'm only seeing 6 or 8. But they just purchased 20. Fayette County did 10. Sonoa has 2 or 3. I mean, they're popping up everywhere. So
yeah. So this is sort of with Susan's question. So let's assume we do it, and we have them placed where you suggested. So Coweta County would then have to say, Officer X, you park someplace. Is that
no? It's when those alerts start coming in.
Uh-huh.
Officers are going to naturally flock to that area.
Okay.
We're hoping that instead of parking at the cemetery in Sharpsburg,
yes,
he parks at the
old antique shop.
The convenience store here in town.
Right. Yeah.
Use the correct verbiage. The convenience store here in town. Because that would be right in the middle. If an alert went out, he could see it coming either way.
Well, I saw an officer parked, and the reason I mentioned that, I saw an officer, a sheriff's deputy, parked at the old store where they used to sell the boiled peanut, which is also a good spot to be. And I noticed, and I'm concerned as you are about the speeding and what have you, and the word got out that he was there and things were going to regular speed. So if that's going to be a result of it, I'm all for it.
Well, and it's been an argument over the years, and speed limit, reducing the speed limit, people don't pay attention to the sign now.
No,
reducing the speed limit isn't going to change that.
No. But the officer sitting there did change it.
But the officer sitting there did change it. Putting up digital signs or that kind of stuff just kind of gives people something to read when they drive by at 70 miles an hour.
The challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you responded to the person in the Oaks who said, can we get a list of the violators? Yeah. Whoever said no, it's not available to you.
It doesn't, we don't get, you don't get that. Right. I don't even get that. It only alerts for the tags that are through the state crime database, the GCIC, Georgia Crime Information Center.
Good.
So it won't be
Comment on that, if I could.
Sure.
Can you state your name? Can you state your name, please?
I'm sorry, my name is Lisa Sacred, and I live at 16 Water Oak. And I love the fact of added security and what the flock system will do. And I think it's different for the county than it is for a subdivision. So, because the subdivision, the HOA board will have 24/7 access to read the cars that are coming in on a daily basis. So they can see this. Now, the HOA would give permission to the police, whether if there was a break-in, and, they could give permission to the police to come in and look at the records, but again, it's only for 30 days. But the HOA does read that, where it's different for the county, and I don't know that the county
on the neighborhoods, the way it was explained to me is on the neighborhoods that had issues with privacy issues, they could create what they call a hot list. In other words, you give me the tags in your driveway, Susan will give me the tags in her driveway, and that will create it won't read those tags. It just basically says nothing.
Right.
But then it'll read the tags that it doesn't recognize. It came in at 2, left at 3, whatever.
And understood, but that's for private community, and I think here we're talking about town where they'd be placed in different areas.
But you couldn't do that for this town. It would only be wanted and stolen. That kind of memo.
But different for the HOA, because you have a different agreement with the flock operators?
That's correct, and it's a 2-year contract, so you pay $2,000 per year for 2 years, and they maintain it. It's not a single-year contract, it's a 2-year contract.
Oh, I thought it was a single-year contract.
No, it's a 2-year contract. And while, HOA fees, I'm not going to get into the HOA part of it, because it's not why we're here, but from a community perspective, I like it, but you know, from a HOA, why would I get a job for county to county? Why don't they pay me to put it in? You know, I mean, we've seen one, there is a flock camera at the entrance to where Home Depot and.
Right there.
Right there by
Yeah,
Longhorns.
yeah, 34, so it's right there.
Mhm.
It works. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If you don't have anything that you're, you know, afraid of or you've done anything wrong, then it doesn't hurt anything because it's not a tag. I mean, it's not a speed trap. It's not anything else. But the privacy issues, I think, are separate for the city. I mean, you know, they're more for subdivisions than it is for the city.
Can I add something to that now?
Yeah.
How long have you been in the Oaks?
Please say,
Well, that's, okay.
You are knowing.
Okay,
It's
okay.
March.
That's right.
This one.
Well, you know, we had somebody come through the neighborhood, what, a year?
It was a year ago, year and a half ago.
And the deputies came to my house to look at all my camera footage, and that's kind of what helped catch this guy. We'd have had tag number known where the car was parked if we had this block system. I like the block system.
I'm not debating the HOA. I'm not debating the Oaks at Turin.
That's fine. I'm just saying, I like the camera.
I like the camera idea
I think
too,
we'd
but
call it quicker.
we're talking,
Yeah.
the question from
Yeah.
the councilwoman was, does someone see this? And the question wasn't answered by another councilwoman, and I know you know about it because you went to the presentation, but doing research, the city will not be having, you know, probably will not have a person looking at all that, you know, which is a different agreement with an HOA.
And we don't care. I care that
All
we're.
we're looking for is to have all we're looking for is to have a police officer in
Yeah.
close proximity to the town on a more regular basis.
To that point, is it your recommendation from your experience with the flock camera, and anybody can talk to this, but from a safety perspective, I know it makes you feel better as an officer. You think we will see results, not just officer presence, but if there is riffraff, or if there's something happening, it's coming through Turin or around Turin, it's gonna.
Well, I can tell you this.
Is it worth 2,000 per year for two cameras?
From personal experience, we've caught people from entering auto, committing entering auto crimes. We've caught people stealing the package thieves. We call them porch pirates. They follow behind the Amazon truck, pick up your packages before you get it. We've caught them. It's a great investigative tool even for the sheriff's office because they can go back and say, hey, we had some thefts, package thefts in the Oaks. Did they come, you know, and it was a small blue car. They can pick up any small blue car on those readers that left the Oaks.
Is it unusual for a town to have this?
No, well, no, because Sonoma bought them. Sonoma bought them. Coweta County personally has purchased them. Fairburns got them. Fairburn College Park, I think East Point has a few. Henry County has them. So it's not uncommon for a town to.
So because I hear a difference between the HOA and a town as it pertains to who can view the data, there's a contract that should be associated with this, with Flock, I assume.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm sure there would be.
Which is not before us today. But if we can agree to the general premise of moving forward, we can move forward with it based on a review by Mark of the contract that we would enter into that we understand would be for 2 years, at $2,000 per year per camera. If we're interested in moving forward this, that would require, we've already had a lot of discussion, but it should require a motion and a second and then discussion. So, but we've already discussed a lot. So do I have a motion to move forward or to review further or table?
Well,
Yeah.
Can
I move that we move forward with it, and
can we move forward and just
Okay.
to feed into what you're saying? Can we move forward contingent on Mark reviewing the contract?
and not just Mark, us reviewing it as well, for us to review the contract. Yes, we can, to answer your question.
So you're not approving it outright because your council wants to review it further.
Yes.
So a motion to do, actually just a motion to table.
To table, yes, until I'll see if I
Well,
can call him and get a
wait a
copy of the contract.
I don't want to table it. I mean, I want to table voting to have it inserted, but I thought you asked us to put it to vote on that?
How about we
Something
do
else?
this?
Okay.
How about we have a motion to approve it based on a review by a representative council person that has the council's best interest in mind?
Right, yes.
We'll make that you.
Okay.
And Mark Mitchell, our attorney.
Good. Yes.
Fair enough?
As a judge,
I'll second
yeah.
that motion.
Good.
Well, that's a motion not by me.
Yeah, but I made it.
Oh, he made it.
Okay, you made it. I have a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thank you.
Clarence, I'll see if I can't
Okay.
put you in contact with a representative that can
Yeah, I'm
forward a
good.
contract to
Good,
you.
Good. I'm interested in it, so thank you.
That's, to clarify, is that 2 cameras for,
Two
cameras
cameras
for
for
2
2
years.
years. 2 cameras
Yeah.
for 2 years.
2 cameras.
that's part of the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
At least, thank you.
I didn't know that was an amendment.
Marcus Clarence will review.
Okay, grants, excuse me. Grants to improve community buildings, sewer application.
I'll speak to that, Mr. Mayor, if I
Okay.
could. A couple of years ago,
Yeah.
we had the person from USDA meet with us. I was there, maybe Mike was there, and maybe Fernando, was it? And she discussed grants that they had available. One that we were particularly interested in was a grant of $25,000 that we could use to improve the community building. And it was a pretty liberal approach to what you could do with the $25,000. And the second one was a grant to study the beginning of a sewer system for downtown. Both of those were USDA grants. This council approved the continuing of that, and it was assigned to Brennan to work on it with the clerk, as I recall. I questioned Brennan on it a couple of times and offered to assist with it because it's been a year or so. And he said we needed to delay going forward with that until our audit was corrected or completed. And when I saw him last month, he said it's all done. So I'm reintroducing this to the council to look at that again so that we can move forward on it.
Do you still have the literature on that, or
I
did you
do.
just?
I have the literature. I called the USDA the other day and haven't heard back from her, but
Is this the one that was, where you went to Spalding County?
no. She came here.
Okay.
Yeah, she came, we met her, the three of us were in that economic development class that we were in for several months, and she was one of the participants in that class. And so she was very popular with all the towns because she had money and access to money. So we were glad to get her here, and now that our audit is in shape, we should move forward on that too. And I'll be glad to work on it with Brennan or whoever's going to be doing it because it just needs to move along. And there's some details that have to be completed.
You might want to also, just to keep pushing this forward, Blue Cole, mayor of Sharpsburg, he does something like this for the
He
state.
does, you're right.
So, and he knows the roadmap it takes to get some of these grants done. They may not be directly applicable. I don't know if he works for DCA. I don't know his real job, but his paying job is grant, either grant writing or grant proposed or grant follow-up or
That's a
grant
great idea.
something.
It's a great idea. Yes, we'll do that.
And Brendan also works some with the town of Sharpsburg, so I don't know if it, but anyway, between y'all two, I think that's
Yeah, I just
back
think,
on the agenda, back on the radar.
yeah, I think we just need to make it a priority, and if the motion's in order, I'll move that.
I think the motion will do it, but it's a new initiative, and we'll keep it on next month's agenda for an update.
Okay. Good.
Reese Road and Railroad signage. Susan, I know you had asked for this, I think, on the agenda.
Yeah, I think we're really concerned about that turn that sharp west turn on Reese Road when you're heading south onto Railroad. There are 3 arrow signs, and they are separated probably by 20 feet apiece.
See if we can't get the county to add
We
a
need
couple,
to add
2 or
something
3,
in
2 or 3
between.
in between, you know.
Yeah.
So when people are pulling up there, when it's dark or they're going too fast, because it doesn't even really say slow down before you get there. There's no warning, slow down, sharp turn, or a sign saying sharp right-hand turn.
There's a yellow sign that says,
What does it say?
it says suggested speed limit 35 miles per hour for the turn. It doesn't say
It's
exactly.
way
what
too
it
fast.
is.
You can't make that turn at
Yeah, but I've
35.
seen those signs that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
I wiped the mud off of it because it was literally caked with mud after the last accident that I saw on that corner.
Was that the railroad, is that the person
The
that
one
wound
that
up on the
ended on the
railroad
railroad?
tracks?
Yeah.
We had someone, and Jenny and I had somebody in the driveway today that lives on that corner that witnessed 3 in the last
Really?
Yeah,
3.
Susan, I agree, because I'm always fussing at him that there's no, because the hill, you're coming up, you don't know the area.
That's true.
That's a right turn, that's not a curve.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
Very
90-degree turn.
What would be the requirement
Rails
for
would
the
be
county
fine if
to
we can afford it.
add
It might block it,
Let's-
help.
a couple of,
Let's do this.
those directional
What,
signs?
before you move on it,
Sure.
what I think we should consider as well are those lines in the road, those things that you run over that make
Striations
sound.
in the
Oh,
road?
yeah, rant, rant.
Yeah.
Are you
and-
sure?
Yes. I know
That's
they're
noise-
loud.
That's noise pollution to some
Yeah,
people.
I
my
know
neighbor
they're-
might not like that.
Well, I understand, but that certainly gets your attention that you're coming up on something. And that, and people who are unfamiliar with that term would appreciate it.
Can we start with sign, because that would require, the ribbon strips would require the county out there to, I think they cut that into the road or they
Do
added,
they?
yeah.
Okay.
Not that, I mean, it wouldn't cost us anything to do that, except, again, people, the rumble strips is what they're called, I think.
Rumble strip, yes, I couldn't think of it.
They're very loud.
They are loud.
But for the, let's do an initial, how about initial, we do signage, just because I don't want the plates
What
for
would
the
it,
rumble strips.
what would it run for, it would just cost us for the cost of the sign, correct? For just to put up a couple, 2 or 3, just to fill in those gaps so that they're not so
At
far
least 3.
apart?
So many other turns all around the community, you see multiple signs in a row, not separated by 20 feet.
How about an additional sign, an 1/8 of a mile back that shows a turn ahead? You know, right, because I believe that
Sharp
turn is
turn.
right when you come up on it.
Right when you
So
come
how
up.
about,
Need a warning in
how about,
advance.
how about a motion to add an advanced warning sign as well as maybe 2 to 3 arrow signs?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Discussion, got to have at least 3 more arrow signs.
Do I have a motion and a second?
A notice and
Discussion?
3 more arrow signs. There we go.
Okay, a motion and a second as stated. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Thank you. You have before us some policy and procedures, consideration for adoption of 14.00.08.10.11.23, which means nothing to the public. But what this means to the council, I think, is, from my understanding, is these policies and procedures are a little bit, I don't want to say convoluted because it sounds negative. They're a little bit more
They're
involved.
open-ended.
They're open. So let's, a motion,
Can I make a,
sure.
can I make a motion to table this until the next meeting so that we can talk to Ms. Ellen at our budget workshop?
February
And
17th.
we can clarify any of these issues.
I think so, that's a good idea.
I have a motion.
A
Do I have a
second.
second? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is the clerk's salary percentage from general and water funds. Could you explain the need for that?
Yes. So how I've been doing it since Tracy left was, I've just been paying everything out of the water, and that's not how it's supposed to be done. I'm supposed to have a percentage of my time on water, and a percentage of my time on general. And I spend 70% on water and 30% on general. So we just have to,
And the current allocation's 100% water?
right now, yes. But since we're starting with the new system, it's set up now for 70 water and 30 general, but I'm just gonna have to do a reimbursement to the general fund from the water fund to pay it back for my salary.
Yeah, this is,
Every time you write the
Well,
check.
I wanted
yeah.
to do it, once a month, so
Yeah.
it's not too big of a,
So do I need a motion to go ahead and approve this?
well, we need a motion to,
To do what Sequoia's already set up to do?
yes, we need a motion that, to pay the salary. It needs to be considered at 70% water and 30% general to make a whole.
Right, so she'll pay herself.
And then using these accounting principles that we've been talking about, that's how these numbers, because it was supposed to be 60/40.
Right.
But that's way out of whack. It needed to be 70/30.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the recommendation as written?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Okay. Collection of accounts assignment agreement. Okay. We've always had a collection agency that has taken care of our delinquent accounts or accounts that have not been, have gone in
arrears.
Arrears, I forget what they call that, but money that's owed to us, we have an agreement with a group that we've contracted with, or not really contracted with, but we've used, that have tried to capture some of that money, capture those debts that are owed to us. What we have before us is a contract that we've never had before, right, Renee?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a contract between us and the same company that is currently doing it. So I'm not really asking for anything other than, are we happy with the service?
I mean, I don't know what the percentage of, what's the percentage of debt collected?
their fee is 35% of collection made.
But how often do we use them?
Well, I have like 10 or 12 that I need to do now.
And what's their percentage of, are they successful in what they do, or?
Tracy said they were. She said that they got some money back for us.
We don't pay for this service. We just there is no collection, no fee. Okay. So if everybody's okay with the service we have and we're at least collecting some of the debt that's owed to us, we can get a motion to approve this based on Mark's review of the contract. To my knowledge, he is not.
I'll make that motion. I'm contingent on Mark's approval of this contract with the town.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion.
And I have a question.
Motion is second and discussion.
How soon does some customer move into this category? I mean, can I be 30 days late and get donned or something?
I normally send out late notices, and then 60 to 90 days is when you can turn them into the.
So it doesn't happen unless she instigates.
You must do something before it happens, and you don't generally
I cut
do
the
that.
water off.
You cut the water off, and then we try and get the money. Is that how we do it?
I sent out the late notice. Most of them are people that has moved out and just left bills.
Chasing the debt.
Okay, I hear
Yeah.
you. Okay, that's good. I just don't want citizens
Yeah, that's a good
in
question.
bad shape.
No, it's mostly people that's gone
Okay.
at
That's helpful, thank you.
$300 or $400.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Okay.
No.
I thought that was covered, the next item was covered under the old 70/30. Oh, no, man.
In front of you, you're talking about,
I'm one item behind
okay.
Community Affairs.
We got something from the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for a service delivery strategy, and I believe this is an amendment to the service delivery strategy, not from the town of Turin, but from another town, that the other town is required to report to the town of Turin and all other towns that entered the same service delivery strategy agreements.
What is service delivery strategy?
The service delivery strategy is the arrangement we have between the county and us to establish services,
Okay.
whether it be water,
Okay.
any other utility, or sewage, or police protection, or
See, right,
it
it
could be
is included.
just about
This
anything.
stuff.
All right.
But this looks like a form, if, in case you wanted to change, it doesn't,
What's filled out?
Code enforcement. I haven't reviewed this.
I have not either.
Could we put this over until we can look at it? 'Cause I don't understand what it is.
I agree.
yeah, because this looks like they're wanting us to,
Can I get a motion to table?
I move.
And I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those same sign, apologize for not having more information on that. I don't need it. I saw the email recently, and that was it.
Yeah, before we agree with that,
We have recently lost the principal CPA that was part of the audit firm that the town has used the past few years. Lost by meaning he's retired. He's still with us. He's just retired. So the town is, and honestly, this was a good time because of our Sequoia software clerk change, bringing in Ellen, accounting changes, what we're doing. We were very much considering changing auditors anyway. Now I feel like we're not forced to do it, but I think we should review and pick a different auditor for the town, since we're losing the primary principal person that was doing our audits. To give the audit proposals weight or context, the one for Hawkins and McNair is the one that we've been using, just now it's under a different CPA head person. The other two are auditors that were put forward, I believe, by Ellen. Ellen is for the public's consumption. Ellen is she works for the city of Brooks, I believe. Is that all right, Brooks? And what does she do for Brooks particularly? Is she the city manager? So she's city manager for the Brooks. She's a CPA, accounting wizard guru that the town has contracted with to help us get our accounting affairs in order, to spread a little sunshine on everything that we're doing to make sure that we're doing it right. She's been a help to the council and to the mayors for education purposes and a number of other things. She put forward a couple of these gentlemen, James Whitaker, PC, and Malden and Jenkins, CP advisors. And I don't have a reason to pick either one other than based on her recommendation. I've not independently reviewed the proposals or interviewed the applicants. So if you want further discussion at the work session on the budget, kind of drive these two into one, that's entirely appropriate, probably, and I'll open it up to discussion.
And Ellen will be at our February 17th meeting, so she could talk about each of these, and she's had experience with both of them.
Yes, sir.
That sounds reasonable.
I'd like
It's a
to
big,
do that.
it's a big decision. It's a
Yeah.
lot of money we spend each year, between $6,000 and $12,000 we've spent in years past on our audit. It's required every year to do one, so it's real money. It means a lot to the state, so to get it right is important. All right, I have a motion to table until after the work session, table to the February council meeting later this month.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Administrative update. Do we have anything? I don't think we have anything for a committee update. Planning Commission update. Nancy, do we have anything for? Nancy's our Planning Commission chair.
Just to let everyone know, we have had a proposal presented to Planning and Zoning last month for a subdivision on the Carrasco property right at the bottom of the hill. And the public hearing will be later this month, the 24th. Thank you.
Okay.
Question on that,
I-
Turin, Oaks of Turin did not get a letter. Nothing.
A lot of that is, a lot of that is because it was supposed to, they were supposed to come back to the council and tell us about some changes, and I guess they went ahead and pushed it to
No,
zoning.
it's only the people that own property that butt
Yeah.
up to that property are the ones that are notified of the public hearing.
As opposed to a county or a city zoning meeting. It's just a neighbor zoning meeting.
It's whoever property abuts
So
the
the-
property that's being
So they're being
considered.
notified of what's
Right.
going on the land that's adjoining their property.
What do you,
Right.
The meeting is open, the meeting will be
Open to anybody.
anyone, but only the immediate property owners receive a letter.
Right.
It should also be posted on the property about the public meeting.
And I know that it's posted. I drove by.
Signs out there today when I passed by.
thank you. Anything else, Nancy? Thank you, and we appreciate you.
That's at 6:30, right?
Yes, I believe so.
6:30.
Okay, 6:30, 24th of February, public hearing.
We were going to run that.
That's also a council meeting, right?
Yes, we were going to run that 30 minutes before the council meeting.
Okay.
And if anyone's interested, our next planning and zoning meeting is tomorrow night,
At 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock here.
Okay.
Do you have more on your agenda? Do you know?
I can't say for sure at the moment. Did you get the?
No, I think,
No, I'm trying to remember. I've sent a couple back and forth with Brennan and Alan today, but I don't think there's anything new on it.
but you do have a meeting scheduled and set for tomorrow, so. Fair enough. Any updates for the water system, Renee, that I'm trying to think if there's anything, I can't think of anything. Citizen comments, I have,
From Ms. Smith, Nancy.
one from Nancy Smith, 54 South Hunter. Here's her phone number if anybody wants. It says, I wish to address the council of the following issue, Old Community Center. Well, sure you go. You can stay right there.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering, I know I haven't been at every council meeting the past few months. Has the council decided to quit renting out the old community center? And if
Yes.
so, what was the rationale, if you don't mind my asking?
Sure. It was kind of it was a business decision based on the fact that parts of the building are in such disrepair.
Okay.
The floors, the windows, it's not efficient. It wasn't being maintained. I mean, it hasn't been maintained properly. And it's just such an eyesore. I know people grew up here in that building, and either we decided as a council, I think, to either you keep it up and you rent it, or you fix it up and do something else with it. And I think we're at that point where we're ready. We moved the bike park now, it's opened that particular area up for whatever the council decides they want to do with it. But as a community building, we just kind of moved away from that and focusing on this building
Okay.
from a business perspective.
But now we're also, if you notice, we're also talking about grants for improvements.
Right.
And we've talked in several of our work sessions about how our workshops and how we can best use it and improve it and get it up to standard so that we can start using it again.
Okay. Is the Sunday car group still using it?
They used it this past Sunday, and I had a meeting with Greg, I had a phone conversation with Greg White prior to their Sunday meeting, and we agreed that it was, we agreed. I relayed to him that I felt like there was a lot of liability concern over the fact that we were allowing a group, albeit a noble one, to meet there, use the building facilities, use the bathrooms, use the kitchen and the electricity and all that stuff. The cost might as well be zero because I think they paid $100 for the year. And then they would sign a waiver for each meeting that they had, a limit of liability. And I told them that piece of paper that you signed to reduce your liability is not worth what it's written on. If something were to happen to somebody, they're going to sue whoever has the deepest pockets, and most likely that's going to be Turin. So we open ourselves up for the liability of that. I also told them that it was a good positive thing that we currently have it rented for it's still in the books to rent for $175 with a $100 deposit. We've never taken that off of it, but they haven't paid even that. And so he was gonna go back to his people that run the car show, and they have an opportunity to use the Masonic Lodge, is my understanding, as their home base, and still have their fourth Sunday car show. And that's not really the town of Turin kicking them out as much as to say, if we're not going to have the bike park there and we're not going to promote, we're not going to rent the building, we need to do something else with it and generate revenue, really is what I'm looking to do at some point with that building, so we can, or community involvement or all the above, but something different than what we're doing. That's just my opinion. That's not really even a direction that I've made. That's a phone conversation I had with Greg White. And I think I forwarded some information to Alan on that, but
Okay.
that's where we stand on it. That's where I stand on it.
We called to try to rent it, and were told we couldn't rent it. And I was just trying to figure out what was going on.
How the two can mesh and still exist.
Yeah. How it's not available, but they're still meeting there.
It's
And
hypocrisy is what is, I don't know, is that the right word, hypocrisy? It's actually saying we're going to do something and doing something else and allowing it for a number of years with the guise of it kind of being a good thing because it's a car show. But we could still have that in the community without having to have for the building. Or if they want it, then we could start running again. They pay their fair share. They're not going to pay $175 for every fourth Sunday. And if the Masonic Lodge will allow that, I think that's a great alternative to still have it and not really be involved with the town. It's not a town function, but it is a positive thing that brings usually wholesome people here. We've had a few speeders we've had issues with, honestly, but that's about it. Thanks for bringing it up. Any other, I know we only have one form, but anybody else want to say anything? Everybody's good? Good. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. To council comments. Clarence?
I do have a couple. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I probably have more time than most people in the county to drive around the town because I don't have a real job. So I do not. I do have a tax office on it, but I'll be busier now until April. But I enjoy driving around, seeing how it is and seeing what's going on. And I invited the clerk to drive around with me one day. She couldn't do it, but I think it's a good idea to be familiar with what's going on. Margaret and I went in one of the houses they were building down on
Lynch Road.
Lynch Road, just to see if it's suitable for seasoned people. You know?
That's a polite way to put it.
That's right.
What are you saying?
Yeah, right. They all have stairs, and so that's generally not going to work when you're at this age. But very nice homes, very well done. It looks like I was upstairs on one of them. Margaret stayed downstairs, and I could look out and still see forest. It was very, very welcoming. So I appreciate that they're doing that work. I wish there were houses around that were single level, that people who want to downsize can get into.
Well, we were
those.
hoping that's what we were hoping that's what he would do
I was
over here.
hoping he would do it over here as well, but that doesn't sound like that's going to happen. We still have an opportunity to maybe get that in his plans too. The second thing I want to say is, you know, in my moving around, I'm always looking for how to improve the town. And I was just really impressed with Jenny and Alan, the mayor, out the other day, just trimming the tree on the side where that post office is. That intersection, I have to travel it several times a day. It's hazardous. And just from a parking and traffic perspective, but also from a visual, you can't see. So I was just delighted that they were out there putting what they say in motion. So thank you very much for doing that, and that's going to help a lot when the blossoms come out.
And I have to say, I promised Lady Simone over here at the church,
Yeah.
because she's the one that brought it up again. She
Okay.
said, you know, I really can't see.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
And
you
I
can't.
said, you're right, it needs to be done.
And the third piece, and then I'll stop, I'm still interested and committed to start doing the work on the town park that we talked about last year. And I know there were other council members, particularly Fernando, I think, who said he was interested in doing that. I'm going to follow up and call the person again and then start that conversation. That there are people in the community who are in Turin or have businesses or established within Turin who are very interested in serving on some committee to work on that. And it's long term, but it doesn't happen until we get started with it. So I'm excited about it. I saw that.
So now this is just for each other.
Exactly, thank you.
Dang it. I was going to say something really good. This has Mike Franca as a council comment, which is an error because he is in the audience. I'm going to mark through Mike.
I would be glad to let Susan make any comments.
No, she has earned the right by a great election to be here. Susan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Stark.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Do you have any comments?
No.
Just that. All that fanfare. Cameron didn't even get that either. Alan?
No, just other than the fact that, I mean, I understand that we've been steady working on that intersection. Can
I give you an update? Well, I'll wait till my
well, that was what I was saying, was that we've been working on that intersection plan. We were just recently, an 18-wheeler took out our stop sign, so we were able to get Rusty to put up some concrete.
And where was that?
Right there, Turin Road and South Railroad Street. And then we're still working on that. You know, it's an incredible task. You're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. If you put the road on one side or you put the parking, it's, you know, how do you do it and make it effective and less of a traffic hazard than it is? Because that intersection in the morning now, people come down Lynch Road, and you're trying to turn left going towards 16, and they darn near run over you trying to turn onto Turin Road. So I think that an update would be great, because just to find out where we're at with that.
I'll do that. Thanks, Alan. Fernando? No. Nothing? That's it? It was Jenny's idea for the bushes.
Yes, just good job, Jenny.
She's always trying to get me out there to do stuff like that.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all, it's your meeting. I know I'm out there, and you
Yes.
don't have to say, I thought it was gonna take 20 minutes, and we were out there probably about
job.
It was
Thank you.
horrible.
And then the boys helped pick up all the trees.
And it's not even election year.
Nah, I know. I'm proud.
But can I say something really quick? I wanted to say something when y'all were
What?
talking about the grass cutting.
This is mayor comments, right?
Sorry. I'm gonna forget.
I'm just saying,
Can
it's
we
what it
make sure
says
to
here.
touch the grass on our side of town? Because I don't see that getting cut.
It-
Is
it-
that part of the quote or?
It is, in fairness to how it was done in the past, our side of town, North Hunter Street, was not included in the services by a
It's
lead.
not getting cut.
And it wasn't, but that is part of the current contract. Thank you. Todd Handley sat with me and he and I met at the intersection. Instead of all this back and forth of talking about what we want to do, he's drawn out some stuff that everybody's seen, but it never followed through in front of the old community building. I was going through Whitesburg, and there's some, I think it's Whitesburg, is that where we're going through? And there's some like crosswalk sectioned areas,
That was in Carrollton.
that are painted on the ground. There's some signage a little bit. There's a hash signs that show there's a crosswalk. It's pedestrian crosswalk, and if they have the right of way and that kind of thing. So what I asked Todd to do is to look at that intersection in that context because of the lane shift between in front of the community building and then the old downtown, the old buildings and the post office, and shifting those lanes over. And it's a lot more complicated than you just drawing it on a map and doing it. Especially to do it right and to slow the traffic down at that intersection where they're coming from Lynch Road or from Lacoja. Both of them are problems when it pertains to the parking. So we'll fix the parking problem, but that is he's specifically addressing that portion of the intersection that requires some kind of crosswalk area, pedestrian-friendly zone that people can look and recognize and go, oh, okay, slow down, or lane shift or something. So he is busy, but that is still in his radar, and I will keep pushing him to move that forward. That's all I've got to add to that. There's nothing for closed session. Mark's not here. Can I get a motion can I also thank or welcome again Megan and Morgan from East Coweta High School. Thank you for coming.
Always good.
And being involved. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Adjourn. Thank you.